What have you written? Like when I've had interns come to me like, how do I get a writing gig at IGN? I'm like, well, what have you written? Well, nobody's paid me to write anything yet, so nothing. Like that's not the point.
and that's even for beyond writing. I mean, for video especially now, it used to be almost impossible to do your own video, put it on the web, and make it visible to people. But now we have stuff like YouTube and Vimeo. You can be making videos, posting them. You can be doing design work and posting it. You can be even coding and posting it and having people see it. It's very easy, at least relatively nowadays, to have your work seen by a global audience to some degree, to get it out there. There's a lot of tools for that, and I mean on video we look at that too. We want to see what you've done, and we've had some guys, especially this motion graphics position, we get the, here's my work, and one of them's like a viral video we saw 2 years ago, and we remember that. We're like, oh, that video was hilarious. This guy wants to work for us now. That's cool. So you never know once you put it out there, you never know who's going to see your work, who's going to remember it, and how it's going to help you out. So, I mean, do what you love, do cool stuff, and put it out there, because the tools are all there for you. There's no downside to it.
It's very important, too, to be careful how you're presenting yourself. Yeah. Even if it's just a comment because you were pissed off some night and you wrote something somewhere. When I was interviewing here, for a community manager, the guy said, we went back and looked at your comment history and we love the way you interact with the community. That's exactly the person we want to lead this. So it's not just your resume they look at. Especially a company like this, they would look back at how you present yourself, how you interact, all that stuff. That's all very important.
And on the flip side, we had an intern that totally blew up on our boards and went crazy. We won't mention that person's name, but you probably all know it.
If you listen to the podcast, you know his name.
You probably all know it. And so we don't forget, this wasn't an intern recently. This was a couple years ago now. And we all remember that person because of what they said online, right? So.
Yeah, indeed. Be careful. The internet doesn't forget. Just real quick before we get into more questions, there's a box of T-shirts. We have Call of Duty, GTA, all sorts of stuff. So just take one, and there should be a take whatever you want.
Important question for students.
You have another fourth question.
Oh yeah, important question for students.
Okay.
Even though they're kids, they're really motivated by what you guys do. They always ask me a question for game development. Then this one kid last week told me about game testing, and I do not have time. So he wants to be a game tester. What advice can you give for him? Because I don't have time to do this, and he does not have that much internet at his house.
Okay, game testing is something that's done, at studios when a game needs to be QA tested and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff happens in California. So if you want to do that kind of stuff, you said you're from where, Florida?
Yeah.
Probably not the best place to be if you want to be a QA tester when you grow up. And yeah, I mean, generally testing is like an entry-level position into the industry where you're going to start to meet people and network, like we've been saying, and meet a lot of people. When Clements and I were at Sony a couple days ago, we hung out with we saw a lot of game testers, and they're working very hard, and they're very important. So it's a very important component of the industry, and I think a noble part of the industry as well.
Yeah, for people who want to do production and design, test is a great way to start. Like one of my best friends at Harmonix, his name's Daniel Sussman. He's a producer, and he did all the Rock Band games, and he started at Harmonix at the very beginning in test. And most people that you talk to, who are these big names that work at Insomniac or, at 343, whatever it is, you ask them where they started, and a lot of them say test.
I would recommend to tell your students, though, that testing is not just the job in which you play video games all the time, because it's actually just like you play video games for maybe 30 seconds, and then you spend a lot of time logging some crazy error where the character's head exploded, and you document it, and then you go on to play, and then you have to stop again and log. It's actually a very exhausting, very thorough job, and it takes a lot of work.
And you play one section of the game
over and over.
And it's kind of your job to break the game. I mean, that's what they're looking for. And it's important to note that that's really, really hard grunt work. It's exhausting, like he says.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if that's the avenue he wants to go, or someone wants to go, just make sure that they're aware it is the literal bottom of the totem pole, and you have to be ready for that.
But it's in California, correct?
Well, it could be anywhere. I mean, if
anywhere there's a studio, they probably have a test department. But I mean, there's a lot of game studios in California.
Some go through contract companies like Volt. I think I've heard of them. They do like test. Yeah, it's a Google search really. They just have to look into different companies and see where they are. But
I mean, like Casey said, there's studios everywhere. We talked about Chaos. They were in New York City, for instance, which is a really random and expensive place for a studio to be. But most of them most American studios are in California. Yeah. And then you find random ones. Eat, Sleep, Play, who is doing Twisted Metal. They're in Utah.
There's tons all over.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, but this is a good place to be. If you drive around, you'll see the Sega Building and Square and all these other companies. So
Yeah, it seems like a lot of over-the-seas developers outsource their stuff to California.
yeah, well, they have like a lot of like Capcom has their American office here. Sony's hub, well, they have a bunch of offices in California, but their huge hub is in Foster City, which is
The
near here.
area
So-
in general is really good for studios. Like Namco's down in Santa Clara, Sony's like more in Foster City, like you said. So yeah, this is kind of a good area.
Yeah, San Francisco is definitely a large hub city for gaming in general.
They start giving stuff away.
Yeah, definitely. You guys have all your T-shirts and stuff like that. Oh, well, did you have a question?
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the recruitment page and all that.
Okay.
That's definitely important. I'll be asking you guys later about all that. But I was wondering how do hits become money, essentially, and hand in hand with integrity is hits just the holy grail for you guys? That's just
Like, how do hits become what?
Money, like how do we monetize?
I mean, it's just like any other online business. I mean, you're selling against impressions and ads. But at IGN, I mean, we've got a ton of different departments, and ad ops actually works completely separate but autonomously from editorial. So, like on the editorial side, like we're never being
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Zach.
advertising, talking about those types of things. So
We don't know what's going to run when.
Yeah. In order to sort of preserve our integrity, as you said.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what our ad department does.
But outside of advertising, I mean, for anybody that is in the media game, whether it's print, online, whatever it is, even if it's creative media like film, I mean, you want your thing to be in front of as many people as possible. So it's definitely like we want to be more successful every month, every year, so on and so forth. Just like, if you made a film and you made a sequel, you'd want more people to watch it. Or the same thing with a game or fill in the blank.
But you guys pay attention to this article's really getting a lot of hits, right?
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of analysis do you guys do? I mean, and how does that guide your future decisions?
I mean, we have metric tools that we use that we can see real time. Like I can go down on my computer and see how many people are on IGN. I can see what articles they're reading. I can see what they're commenting on, and we can say, oh, well, there's the story, and we have it placed on the page like this, and nobody's reading it. So we can think, oh, why aren't they reading it? Or they're commenting on it, and it's like they hate it, or I don't fill in the blank, whatever it might be. Not that happens ever, but and then we base decisions like it's like football. Like you see a play and you run a play and it works and you score touchdowns. You use that play.
It's like that's why lists are always in there. I remember somebody commented on a podcast that's why we do top 10 lists, because you guys read them. It's popular.
People love to see the things that they have spent all this time with sort of measured against each other. Because I mean, somebody's a huge Resident Evil fan or Street Fighter or Halo or whatever, and they just love it. And then you start this conversation where you're saying, okay, what's better, Resistance or Halo or whatever it is, and everybody's and that, I mean,
Everyone knows the answer to that question.
Yeah.
No. But and that's the fun of it, right? And I mean, so much of it is based on our own experiences as well. And if you guys were running that list, it would probably look different. So, but yeah, everybody, those lists are really popular.
Sometimes we don't know what's going to do really well, too. I mean, like, we had an instance this year where Castlevania's 25th anniversary came and went, and no website really made a peep about it. And Jeremy, our EIC, just thought, well, I've been, had this idea for a Castlevania blog / retrospective for a while. And he just picked a day, wrote it, put it up, and it did really well for us. And sometimes we're not entirely sure what's going to hit really well. We just try to go with the best quality content possible, and also just try to be timely. I mean, those are definitely factors. But it's kind of weird too, because we're living in a month where like any title, any article with Skyrim in the title, like seems to get everyone's attention. Skyrim. Yeah.
So it's a good thing we have so many tools. We have like a real-time, we call it Newsbeat. We see real-time hits, and like I'm in charge of promoting our content, so I can see what's starting to take off on our pages. So from there, I'll give it a prominent placement on Twitter and Facebook, and just watch it blow up, and you can watch any kind of trend, and then it's just any company as big as ours, we're very aware of where our audience has their eyes. That's a very, very good tool to have.
We do a lot of work even beyond editorial.
Beyond.
So we have a marketing department.
Is it Greg's fault or is it?
We have a person in charge of looking at that kind of data and all the pages on the site.
And also great for us to be able to gauge interest, whereas maybe something surprises us. We're like, oh, there's a lot of people interested in this one game, this one topic. Maybe we should do more of that because that's what people want to see. So it's a very positive.